All right. So I am excited to be here because I was inspired to do an encore session for the online healing art retreat because of the cards that were pulled and from what you all created in day 1 and day 2 of the healing art retreat. So if you're here and you didn't participate in the day 1 and day 2, I do highly recommend you can find the replays on my YouTube channel. And you can do day 1 and day 2, and also you can do the session today. It's totally. So I was going to review with you those 2 cards, a little bit more about the meaning and how the root chakra and the throat chakra are connected, because I think that would be interesting. How's everybody doing today? I would love to know. Put in the chat, let's say, if your mood was a what could it be? I guess we'll go with color because that's always the easiest. If your mood was a color, go ahead and put that in the chat. I'd love to know what color your mood is today. I want to see a rainbow. We got turquoise, purple, orange. I knew it. Gray, blue. It's still rainy and cold. Red, orange, pink, yellow. Okay, awesome. Very fun. Okay, good. We're getting a nice group of people. Okay, so I want to go ahead and announce the winner. There was an art journaling I'm doing on the back end that you guys haven't seen yet, but it's a 21-day art healing and journaling experience. And a part of that, I wanted to give it away as a prize for the day 2. If we could mute ourselves, that would be amazing, just so they don't have any extra background noise. That would be awesome. And so I wanted to let you know that Kate Fibbin is the winner of that 21-day. And as soon as I get it available, I will send it out to you, and I'll let you all know when it is ready. But I wanted to share this quote with you. So this is kind of like my intention for today. I know we're going to be going over these 2 cards as well. But I read this quote from this artist called Manzi. She's really amazing. And she makes really cute art. And she said, if you focus on the pain, you will suffer. But if you focus on the lesson, you will heal. Okay, so I want you to keep that in the back of your head today. Okay, so as we're talking about this information from these 2 cards, I'm like, how does that apply to you? Okay. So we had the root chakra for the day 1, and then we pulled the throat chakra for day 2. So I wanted to talk a little bit because what I noticed observing everyone's beautiful art was that it was very childlike. I don't know if you guys, I think you guys had picked up on that too. It was like very playful, was very childlike. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, just creating in itself is powerful, and no matter what it looks like, right? There's no judgment here. But there was a playfulness and a childlikeness of it all, right? And that also relates to that root chakra. So with the root chakra, we're looking at our structure, our foundation. So if you look at like any type of like psychological framework or theoretical framework, you're kind of looking at the different stages of development, right? So the root chakra is all about trust, right? You have to have trust first, trust with your caregivers so you get your needs met, and then it can build up to to that next level of like, being into that like social realm and, taking in more from your environment and stuff. But with the root chakra, if we were talking about feeling balanced, that you would feel that trust, you'd have that security, right? Which is a great structure, right? Because this card is all about structure. So when you create that foundation for yourself, when your parents give it to you, right? Then you're going to be able to provide for your own needs, right? So this was about having a consistent self-care practice. Okay. So as adults, we take care of ourselves now. We parent ourselves basically, because when we were little, we didn't parent ourselves. Our parents provided that. So we need to have that structure, our whole self-care practice, so that we can provide for ourselves and then have that ripple effect to those around us, right? right? So, but if it's imbalanced in some way, so this is what I was talking about when, what happens if our needs weren't met, right? What happens if we feel insecure? What happens if we feel incredibly anxious, overwhelmed, right? And we don't have that structure. What happens? Okay. And that's what I was saying. It relates back to our childhood. It relates to those basic needs, right? And so, and it can relate back to our own traumas too. So it gets kind of heavy, but it's really about, being able to heal, right? So if we focus on the pain, we'll suffer, but when we focus on the lesson, you will heal. So this is what I wanted to bring up, when we think about why we're experiencing emotions, right? So if you are experiencing these emotions, not to judge them, but to explore them, okay? And start thinking about, why am I feeling this way? Or why are these relationships coming into my life? Why am I having these patterns, behaviors, right? Start questioning them, okay? So for example, when I'm talking about like even healing the traumas or healing those triggers, it's not really about the trauma. It's really about what's happening, like how do we respond to these situations? Like, because what happens is they just keep coming up in our life and we keep responding the same way. So we have to like question ourselves and say, why am I feeling this way? So the trauma could be anything from emotional neglect, sexual abuse, physical abuse, healing those type of things, right? And then what happens, our body, and I talked about it storing in our body, and then being able to regulate our nervous system, right? And then being able to regulate our emotions. So like, how do you do that? Well, there's many different ways. I prefer art therapy, but I know there's many different ways of being able to do that. And if we don't do it, what's going to happen is we're going to be in that fight or flight response, right? We're going to have those type of feelings, right? So I just wanted to talk about this because I think it's important to address it, because if we don't, we'll feel that disconnection within ourselves. Okay, we're not going to be able to connect with our artwork. We might be scared of our artwork. We might freeze. That's what that fight or flight, or we might fawn, being that people pleaser, right? If we don't address the underlying issue or cause, right? And we take it as a lesson, right? And then just moving on to, I was going to talk a little bit about that throat chakra, how it says, and it was a mirror, but everyone in life is a mirror. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves. Be the energy that you wish to attract. So when that energy comes up of us being triggered in some way, this is where we do that deeper dive of ask, why is this coming up? And how can I do the healing around it so that I can address it, right? And so a lot of times with that throat chakra, it's like the throat chakra is all about communication, being able to fully express ourselves, right? We want to be able to fully express ourselves so that we feel seen, we feel heard, we feel like we mattered, so that we are feeling nurtured, right? And what happens is, if, like I said, going back to that root, if there were times in our life when our needs were not met, if like we were emotionally neglected, like we would talk about what we wanted and we were ignored, or if we were criticized, right? Then we're going to think that what we say and what we do doesn't really matter. And we're going to have that kind of in our mind, and we're going to say those kind of things to ourselves, right? And then you're going to try to find that self-worth and attention through ways that aren't serving you. For example, I'm thinking of one client that I have, and talking about like being ignored by her father, and then how that led to her being boy crazy, of just like looking for that love, right? It was just like, who's going to look at me? Who's going to look at me, right? And so that's what happens in our behaviors, right? So the same situation will keep coming up, and then you have this opportunity to stop and say, hey, how do I want to respond, right? And so a lot of times, like if we're not speaking up, or not addressing what we need to address, it's usually because we're avoiding our feelings as well. We might overwork, overeat. We might suppress things or numb things by drinking too much, things along those lines, right? So it's so important to look at these two and why they came up for you, okay? Not for you, but just for us as a collective, right? So those came up. So what I wanted to do today is to think about more of that inner child healing, right? And I'm not asking you to go back and think of anything like traumatic or anything like that. I actually just went to my hometown this week, and going back to my hometown, I always feel like, all those memories come up, good memories, bad memories, all kinds of stuff. And it had me, thinking about some things that were precious. And I have to tell you one experience that kind of like stuck out in my head was like how I got into painting, or even art in itself, is that I remember my grandmother would pick me up from elementary school and I'd go to her house. I'd be totally bored because she would be watching soap operas, and and then she would take a break from her soap operas and she let me watch something. And she would put, for some reason, I don't know if I picked it or she just put it on, but I'd be watching Bob Ross. And I was like, oh man, he's so cool. He was so entertaining. And I remember she took me to Kmart and I got to pick out something that I wanted to do. And I picked out some paint by numbers that were mountains. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I would just sit and watch Bob Ross and paint these like mountain scenes, right? So that's like a memory that is just like, it just makes my heart happy. And actually my dad still has that painting, and like those paint by number sets that I have. And now he does paint by numbers, which is so cool because I always feel like it's like full circle, right? So what I wanted to do today is give you an opportunity. I'm going to pick another card for us as a collective. I'm not sure what's going to come up. I'll put these even back in here. But also for us to kind of nurture that inner child again, like let her come out and play, because it is so important to tap into that voice. Like what does she need, right? What does she want to say? And if there is something like some sort of hurt, anxiety, anything like that, having a hard time shuffling, that is coming up for you, just to address it and to allow that to come out as well. But I would say, like, just think of like a fun memory for you that was special. If you'd like to put it in the chat, because we're going to be making some art about it in just a moment. But can you think of like the little you could go back in time? And it might be hard if there's someone in here that's like, I can't, I'm totally blocked, I can't do it, then don't push yourself. Just don't, it's okay. You can go back to the furthest that you can go back, and maybe a sweet memory that you remember. Maria says, when you say address it, does that mean how in the art? Okay, when I said address it, let me just go back to thinking about what I just said. Well, I mean, what we're going to be doing is I want you to create one of like your first memories, a good memory of you as a child. Okay, that's what, and then if something comes up, allow it to come up. Oh, Jen says picking up seashells to paint them. Oh, that's so sweet. Jamie said my great grandma's grilled cheese sandwiches. Yum. That's awesome. I remember cooking with my grandmother too. Yeah, making cookies. I remember my dad making incredible face painting on my brother and I when we were little. Beautiful. Jody used to love going fishing. Awesome. Finger painting at our first home. Allow yourself to put some paint on your fingers then. Do some finger painting, just tapping into that space, right? Playing with Aunt at my grandma's home. Erin, it's up to you to choose what age that you would like. Just thinking of a sweet memory. You're just allowing our inner child to come out and play. It's an invitation, because a lot of times we don't, or we haven't allowed that inner child to come out to play. And I had a feeling from last weekend, that's what happened. Is like, there's like, hey, my inner child just kind of woke up. Hey, wants to tell me something. So I'm just opening up the door to say, allow it to come in, and let's go and think of something that was sweet for you, and you can recreate it. Because like for me, I remember roller skating at my grandmother's house too. I remember I finally got some roller skates, and she had the smallest little carport, but I used to go around in circles, the smallest little carport, and built this city on rock and roll. It was on my little boombox, and that just like lit me up. That was just like awesome. Bouncing on a space hopper. I have no idea what that is, Becca. Is that like a UK thing? You don't know. Can you describe it for me? What is that?
I have to unmute. They were big kind of orange things with a funny face, and they had ear handles, and you sat on them and you bounced. Did you not have them?
I didn't know that was the name. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a cute image to bring up. I wonder if they hold adult weight. It's just for kids, probably.
You can get big ones.
Oh, you can get big ones. You gotta get yourself some. I love to see you bouncing around on it. Ah, that's so funny. Jamie says a hippity hop. Playing with my pets, playing outside in nature. Imaginary play, especially with my childhood dog Candy, with my grandma's dog. Oh, that's so beautiful. Spinning in the grass until I got dizzy, laying down and watching the sky. Awesome. Making sandcastles, running around my neighborhood without my parents around. Beautiful. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pick a card for us. See what's coming through. Oh, well, we got the heart chakra card, and we got the dream team. I haven't got this one in a while. It says, why do you need, oh, it says, who do you need to gather for the manifestation? Oh, I like we got a manifestation card, even though we're doing healing work, of your big dream. We all need support in manifesting our desires. This card gives you permission to acquire the help you need to create your dream team. Ah, that's wonderful. So I wonder how we can incorporate this card even into our play today. Okay, so you could go ahead and start drawing, painting, or recreating that childhood memory of just letting your inner child come out for play. This is permission to do that. And then thinking about, even how this relates to, bringing in people for today, of how you can spark that inner child. What would, like, could be objects, like maybe Becca wants to bring in that, the space hopper. To bring that, or it could be people too. Maybe you need to bring in people, maybe from your past, or maybe it's new people that you want to bring in to support you on this journey, on this healing journey, right? So how do we incorporate the heart chakra? Okay, so just like listening to your heart, right? What is your, like, just asking that question. What does my heart need? And another way that you can tap into this is you can use your non-dominant hand, which would be my left hand. But if you want to use your non-dominant hand, and you could write a little letter to your inner child. And just let the inner child write to you and say, what do you need? Ask it, what do you need from me? What would you like to do to come out and play some more? Because your inner child is always with us. It's not like it just goes away. It's always here, and I think it's important to allow it to come out and play. I mean, I love hanging out with children. I love working with children, and it gives me that opportunity to kind of get into my own inner child, because you go into that world, you go into the here and now. They're very present. That's what I love working with children. They're very like here and now. I'm not thinking about the past and the future. They're just right now in the moment. And Linda says, it could be paired with trauma. That is correct. It could be. And it's okay to, I'm going to go back to our quote for today. If you focus on the pain, you will suffer, but if you can focus on the lesson, you will heal, right? So a lot of that healing, and we can relate that back to that whole heart chakra, is with forgiveness. Not that the person, what they did was okay. You're not forgiving them for that, but you're forgiving them for yourself, right? And giving yourself that space to nurture your inner child of what does your inner child want to do? Maybe it is to go bake those cookies again, or play outside in nature, you know. I think that is, or go outside and spin. I went through my desk drawer because I wanted to find it, but I'll share it with you. This is a little sculpture I made in elementary school. So like, this is just telling me, hey, get back into clay, you know? So this is my little girl. This is a version. I don't know what grade I was in when I did this, but I know my name's on the bottom, so it was mine. It says Leah. But it makes me happy. Like it makes me happy that she was able to come out and play. So a part of this is we're giving ourselves this space to connect with our inner child, connect with our heart, right? And saying, what do you want to experience, right? And then also thinking about, doing the work of showing up for yourself, right? What does that look like for you? Especially moving into your desire, moving into that true you. Who are you? Like reflecting back on day one. What would happen if you put yourself first? If your needs were heard, you spoke what you communicated, what you needed, and created boundaries and gave yourself that space. What would happen? It's almost like we have to parent ourselves, right? We have to learn how to parent ourselves. I'm sure these are probably going to be like really quick, playful sketches. I don't know. You guys all look like you're really into it, so I'm not sure. I'll let you guys continue on before we share. It's just allowing ourselves to bloom, right? Because if we have all our needs met, then we're able to bloom, then we're able to thrive, right? Like flowers here. But what happens if the flower doesn't bloom? Okay. Do we blame the flower? Do we blame the plant? Or do we blame the environment? Right? So what we have to do is start looking and start researching for ourselves to say, hey, we don't want to just throw away the plant. No, we have to say, hey, what about my environment? What's the light look like? What does the soil look like? The humidity, it's getting enough nutrients. So it's like looking at ourselves to say, hey, how can we nurture ourselves on the inside? How can we nurture our mental health? How can we make sure that we're getting all our needs met? Physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, they're all important, right? So if there are any needs that your little self needs in this drawing, put it in there. Go ahead, give yourself whatever it needs. Maybe it was some more attention from somebody. Put it in there. Maybe with some more love. Or a favorite toy. And I love that we picked the heart chakra because the heart is actually really, really wise, right? Our heart is, it's just constantly beating. It's doing what it needs to do. And it's important to listen to our heart and connect with our heart. Looking at what lights you up. I just want to check in with everyone. You can continue working. I just wanted to see if there was anyone that is at a point where you could share or would like to share what you created or what came up for you. Susanna asks, where would a frog be on the chakras? I don't know, did a frog come up for you? Like I was saying, there are certain animal totems that are associated with chakras. We could look them up. We could Google them. I'm not sure about the frog. Usually I'm thinking that they're kind of like in the water and they're on land. I don't know. I'd have to look that one up. But you can also put your own personal symbols as well. So if you're feeling the frog, you can feel the frog. They're green. So Karen Dawn says, frog reminds me of transformation. Oh yeah, because it goes through the different stages, like the tadpole. Okay, I'm looking it up. Okay, it says. What's this long story? I'd have to read it. Well, I didn't find anything just yet, but you can associate it whichever one that you want. Is there anyone here that would be available to share what came up for you? Becca says she wonders if the solar plexus for the leap of faith, taking action. Could be. That would be a nice association. Oh, Linda, is Linda ready? She's putting up her work. Okay, would you be able to unmute yourself? I'm gonna add a spotlight.
So this is at the beach and
Could you speak up just a little louder?
okay, sometimes okay. Just let me know. Is that better?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Okay. So I'm at the beach. Here's my child self going into the water. The gray is Flipper the seal. I used to have a Flipper the seal. And below that is Spotty. Spotty was a white dog that had a black spot on his back. And the person over here in the bathing suit is my adult self. And so the beach blanket is it's green on a kind of like a red with a green heart on it. And at Grand Beach, they have dunes and everything. This is in Manitoba. And so the sun is nice and I still like going to the beach and but this is more of a pleasant memory from what was, you know, and this is me nurturing my inner child, you know.
Yes,
And
beautiful. Thank you so much. And I love that you put the green heart.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So, yeah.
beautiful. Thank you, Linda, for sharing. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Is there someone else that would like to share their inner child? Playful drawing. I'll kind of go through. You guys are so quiet today. There's no right or wrong here. No judgment. Marta, go ahead.
Hi everyone. I thought of a memory I had when I was little with my dad face painting us, and I, of course, it's something that I really feel strongly on my heart, is the beautiful memory I have, but it also holds memories of when my throat chakra was probably at best, because since maybe mid teens I had developed a thyroid problem, so that's been quite a big thing on my thyroid, on my throat chakra. So I've put the blue, it doesn't show very much, but the blue on the background, because it was the time that I was holding all this, but also what I had in me with being nice color for the throat chakra and the face paintings, and that's all.
Oh, and I love that you're wearing blue today too. How
yeah,
healing. That's
yeah, I'm especially for it.
yeah. And you said that it was a special memory that you hold in your heart, and then you had the green and the heart on there as well.
Yeah. So green, blue, and red.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do you let your inner child come out and play often?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah, I try to. Yeah. I make that as an effort, as part of my self-care. Is intentional, and it comes out more often naturally when I practice it more often.
Yeah, give it some love and attention.
Yeah.
And it is a part of our true essence as well, right? So stepping into your true self.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Who else would like to share? Crystal? Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna add a spotlight.
Hi.
Hi.
So when I did my drawing, I went back to a memory of going to a big park where I grew up and riding bicycles with my mother and father around this lake. Now I'm an abstract painter, so everything is symbolic for me, and sometimes I don't even understand it. But this is really interesting because I was looking at this drawing. So here's the lake. Here's a big rock that I used to, we used to play a game when I was a kid. We used to try to jump over these little rocks to get to this big rock. And it seemed like such a massive thing at the time, but now looking back, it really wasn't. But so that's what that is. This is the lake. This is the path that goes around the lake, the little ice cream shop. And then here's the park overall. And then these are little people walking, and then we're riding bikes. So I'm looking at this really rudimentary abstract work, and I'm thinking, looks like a nucleus.
It does.
And I thought that was so interesting because this memory, this core memory, really goes back to my family together and held together, and kind of, these types of activities being the nucleus for us. So I just thought that was really interesting, and I wanted to share it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not-
beautiful that you made that connection. That's really amazing.
Right. I'm looking at it and thinking, wow, that really looks like a nucleus. But again, sometimes things appear, and I'm sure you understand that sometimes things appear in my work and I don't understand them until later when I'm working through something. So I
Yeah.
try to just let it happen and let it be, and understand as it unfolds. Hopefully I get answers about the work as it develops.
Well, it looks like you got a lot of insight from that. And even like as you created it and then like looking back and reflecting and talking about it, it's like about that nucleus and what that feeling was for you. It sounded like it was like probably, whatever emotions that came up, and then recreating it in your now of like bringing that sense back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even the perspective, seeing it from
Mhm.
so high up and looking down on it and seeing the overall, like that's interesting to me. This kind of stuff really fascinates me.
Most definitely. That was awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. What does our little child or inner child want to express or share themselves? I'm sorry, there's hands raised and I didn't even realize it. And I apologize. I'm not sure how to find out. Oh, Chelsea. Let me find you, Chelsea, here. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Hi.
Okay. All right. So I was like working kind of slow today. So I really only have like a little sketch going on. Let me shine this in. So I drew little me, and I'm holding a flower, and I started making another flower, but I think it's like one of those like little like dandelion things you like blow. But I'm holding it up to this like big warm sun, and I tried to draw my childhood dog. I'm gonna fill this in with like I think like lots of color. I was thinking about maybe using some watercolor, so like the fluid media might even bring up some more stuff. I had a hard time like thinking of a specific memory, so I just had the attention of like letting my inner child come out. And I just really thought of like simple memories of just playing outside. I was always in nature. I was always with my childhood dog. She followed me everywhere. My grandparents lived right down the road from me, so I was like adventuring always in this like little private neighborhood. And yeah, I think I just feel like really warm and safe. So this was like a nice exercise to do.
Oh, good. I'm so happy I brought those feelings for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see it in color, and you can post it in the group. I love
Absolutely.
that. Wonderful. All right, we got a couple more. We have Anna.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
good.
Love to see your art.
So, what I have here is it's a pour art. I don't know how to use a brush.
Oh, no
So,
judgment, no judgment. That cuts us down. So we want to like lift you up, right? It's just playing.
yeah, so this is something I made. Can you see it?
Yeah, go ahead, tell us about it.
So, as a child, my eldest sister used to paint and she was way better than I was. I used to just struggle with drawing even an apple, but it's only now that I discovered that to paint, I don't really need a brush. I don't really need to draw. So I used really bright colors. I used, core techniques, fluid art to kind of express myself. And that's what I do now. So a not so happy childhood memory is really what I say success for me today. I even sometimes sell this art, but yeah, this is just an expression of my success.
Beautiful. So you were taking that, like the judgment part of like comparing yourself to your sister and then being able to find the lesson in it and finding your success in it.
Yes, so don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I was at that time I was jealous of her, not today, but I just feel that art is not something that it's just an expression. It's just like you said, no judgment, right? There is nothing right and wrong. So
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Beautiful work. Awesome. We'll do one more. We'll have Kim.
Good morning, all.
Hi.
So I kind of focused back on childhood just by using very childlike materials, simple wax crayons, acrylic paint, a basic watercolor set, and then finger painting. And then also I bought, it's a colored pencil, but it's got the multicolor lead. And then I focused on using my non-dominant hand. So
Oh, wow. And it has words in it?
yes, it has words and hearts and just random little scribbles of color. And with the crayons and watercolor in particular, it does that kind of funky resist. And this isn't just a basic standard paper lined notebook. So it crinkles the paper in a nice way that's really fun and textile. So
And I loved how you used the heart chakra color in there.
I incorporated that with the other two as well. So kind of pulling it all together.
Beautiful. Did you have any insights or anything that came up for you, like, or like bringing the energy into the now, or?
Just reflecting back on that truly childlike, whimsical, throw anything at the paper, just grab and go, instead of putting too much thought about content or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful because so we get so lost in our head that if we just kind of allow ourselves to play and just let the colors play, that it will kind of take us back to that place of that childlikeness when we didn't have to be so serious, right?
Correct.
Thank you, Kim, so much for sharing.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Well, I want to appreciate you all for showing up today for a little encore session. Like I said, I was really inspired to show up again and just hold space for you one more time. I'm just going to put it out there that if you like this kind of community and like creating art, we have the Creative Soul Society membership, which we're going to be meeting next week for a we have an artist interview with Anna Sneeringer. She's a really, really cool portrait artist. She's from India and now she lives in the States. And we also have an art therapy session about burnout and gratitude. And then I'll be doing a open studio at the end of the month, and we're going to be focusing on texture techniques. So I'll be showing you some art stuff. So yes, you're welcome to join us there, or if you'd like to schedule, if you'd like to dive deeper into more healing work with art therapy, I have 2 spots open. You're welcome to do a consultation call and to see if it's a fit for you. So if you want to learn more about how to regulate your emotions, regulate your nervous system through art, then that's pretty much what we're focusing on, so that you can, manage whatever's going on with you, so you can get to being your best self. I'm gonna just read one more thing in the chat. I'm experiencing a softening, even with my screen. I changed the background to blur and the light in the window, softening my face and hair, softening the hard edges and linking it with my childhood memory of playing with my cats and dogs made my heart soften and lighten. Oh, that's so beautiful, Linda. Yes. Yes. So it's all about that perspective, right? If we can just soften in, and then just going back to, I'm just going to end on the note of, if you focus on the pain, you will suffer, but if you focus on the lesson, you will heal. So let's just thinking about not being so judgmental on ourselves, but just thinking about, how can I heal? How can I, what did I learn, right? And how can we forgive? How can we move on? So that we can have, focus on our mental well-being and just live a really, really great life. Sue says, will this be on replay? Yes, I'm going to hit stop now and it'll be available on my YouTube so you can watch it. So you are welcome, Cindy. I'm sending you all so much love. I hope to see you again, either in the membership or for online art therapy services. And I'll see you around in a few months. If I think I might do another one maybe in August or October. So I will see you around. Take care. And like my shirt says, trust the universe. It's there for you. Bye.